Hello, hello. We are back together again. This is JJ DiGeronimo, and I host Together We Seek because I am seeking alongside you. I'm constantly looking for tools, techniques, practitioners, and practices that really helps me work from the inside out. It helps me sort of dig out what's no longer serving me to create space for more love and light. And today I am welcoming Tammy to join me on. We met a few months ago, and her practice in Southern Ohio is pretty spectacular. But she has really introduced me to a practice that I didn't know much about. So I'm really looking forward for her to join us and dive into these practices because I feel like there are so many different things you can do, spend your time and energy on. And you really have to kind of feel into what is calling you. So I'm really looking forward to spending this time together, really exploring theta healing. So if you would, please join me in welcoming Tammy.
Hi, I cannot figure out how to get my camera on. Darn it. You can hear me.
I can hear you. I can hear you. So hopefully under settings, you can go down there and just pick the right camera. Make sure your camera is not off. Yep. So maybe you could play around a little bit with the settings for the video. And we'll give you just a minute to get started. While she's kind of working that out, I think it's just important to really think about what is a practice that you have worked on. Oh, there she is. There she is. What is a practice that
I had
you
to
have
just get,
worked on that has really helped you ground into the energy of where you're at, or helped you feel lighter, or allowed you to become more centered, or even made you feel like you could connect into gifts and wisdom that you don't frequently visit? So as you think about that today, let me welcome Tammy to our stage. Hi, Tammy. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I just had to disconnect my other mic and we'll just use my laptop or video and we'll just get going. But I need to figure out how to get this to sit.
Well,
Okay.
good. Well, we're live right now on Facebook and YouTube, so we're just going to go with this. This is
We're
what
just
live
going.
means.
This is what
Yeah,
life
this
is
is
all
what live
about, right?
means.
Yes,
Yeah, so
exactly.
thank you so much for joining us. It's so great. So tell us a little bit about Tammy. What are you up to, Tammy?
I'm sorry, my mic got off for a second. So I'm a theta healing teacher and practitioner and living into my intuition, which is what we're here to talk about today. Growing my community and just engaging with this magical world.
That's so beautiful. So beautiful. Oh, goodness. So why don't we jump right in, Tammy? Tell us, what is theta healing?
So, theta healing is a guided meditation that everyone can learn how to do. I started practicing it 10 years ago and it changed my life. It gets into our subconscious in this laser focused way, utilizing and connecting us to our intuition so that we can find those beliefs that we have that are inside of us that are impacting how we think about ourselves, what our personality is,
Mhm.
how we show up in the world, what we're courageous to do and what we're terrified to do and why. And really identifying what that is and then separating us from them, because we are not our beliefs, we're not our fears, we're not all of our feelings that can hijack us every day, and we're also not those cycles that continually happen in our lives of maybe being in a dead-end career or not being able to find your purpose.
Mm.
All of that are beliefs, and our trapped emotions and feelings really get in the way of who we truly are. So theta healing helps us to get right to the heart of those, right to that core issue. And once we identify what that is and change it, all of that illusion, all of that story that's connected to those beliefs and to those trapped traumas, they just become clear and fall away. And my perspectives shift. It's just this technique has absolutely changed my life and changed how I am connected to myself and how I'm connected to source.
So tell me, theta healing is a meditation?
It is an energy healing practice that we tap into it through a guided meditation. So it is a lot more than just a meditation. In that meditation, it gets us straight to source. We call that source creator. You could call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
Some people use nature, God. It connects us to that. And then it connects to our intuition so that we can receive the information that we need, download the information that we need. And it is that source energy that does all of the healing. We're here as the guide and the witness to help support that. But what I'm really passionate about is not only just working with people as a practitioner, but teaching people how to do this in their life, because you can tap into this very quickly and really lead your life from your intuition and know what that sounds like through this practice.
Okay, so for those of you that have not heard of theta healing, I love to break things down. So it sounds to me like the meditation gets you into a pathway or a zone or a frequency that really allows you to kind of get into the back door or get into the storage area of what you're carrying with you. Maybe the back door to the emotional backpack you carry around in your lifetime. It like allows you to go in and kind of clean out what is no longer serving you.
Absolutely. Yes. Yep.
I love that. I love that because I think a lot of people just don't even know what they're carrying around. They often have emotions that, I had a woman call me a couple weeks ago and she's in a work situation where she is very upset with the person that is in her office, that's on her team, that continues to act up in ways that really gets under her skin. And so
Mm-hmm.
I said to her, who in your family or neighborhood played that role for you before?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, is there somebody in your life, maybe 20 years ago or 40 years ago, that played a similar role? And she said, that's so funny you asked me that. My brother used to do something similar to me. And I said, is it possible that this person showing up is activating that energy again? And maybe you need to clean that out. And so, would that kind of be an idea of things you're carrying around that you might not even realize?
Oh, absolutely. The triggers that we get externally, they trigger us, but that trigger lives inside of you. And you actually don't know sometimes where it stems from. She had the ability to consciously remember that that is someone similar that her brother felt. But other times, we actually have these triggers inside of us and beliefs that are from our ancestors or from previous lives. And I was just working with a client just this week who has this feeling of not being seen, heard, or understood. And actually, that's an overarching thing that I've worked with. Everyone that I've worked with has had this at some point in the work that we've done together,
Mhm.
including men, but it's definitely prominent for women because it's come to us through societal messages over thousands of years, women not being seen, heard, or understood, but also a lived experience in one of her past lives where she was in that situation. And so it's to the point where she just felt so surrendered to it. Like, why even talk? Nobody is even going to listen to me, which isn't true in her life today. But it did actually come back up in the relationships that she brought into her life with her ex-husband. That triggered it again. But the root cause of it actually goes back farther than she could realize, and it's a more global issue. And theta healing can identify and unpack all of that. So we're, instead of chipping away at the top of trying to understand it consciously, we go deep into that subconscious to reveal it and then heal it.
Mm. I love that. I love that. And I think it's a good question to ask yourself if you're sitting there going, I don't know if I have stories. I don't know if I have hidden characteristics or behaviors. I think asking yourself, am I attracting the same type of energy over and over again? Am I attracting the same types of situations? I can't tell you how many people, especially women I talk to, like, I keep getting into the same job or I keep attracting the same partner. So to me, that seems like, gosh, you probably got to go clean out your closet.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And then sometimes we do actually realize, like, I'm terrified to speak on stage, but I don't know why. Or I'm terrified of water. Like, our fears also point us in those directions. Writer's block, I've helped authors unpack their writer's blocks so that they can write the books that they're meant to bring into the world. And so sometimes we do have an idea of what they are, but we maybe don't want to shine a light on it or want to, ignore that feeling that we're getting. But we often have this whisper that there's something going on here that we dismiss. And that's tapping into our intuition and really leaning in to see what is there for us to clean out and unpack, to discover.
I can completely relate. You know, in my book, I talk about the whispers all the time that nudge us along. So I can completely relate to that, that oftentimes we know there's more out there for us. We just don't know how to get to it. And I think that's really why I bring these conversations to light, because it's practitioners that I know and I work with that have helped me and helped my friends kind of dig out the energy that's no longer serving you or break a pattern that you're just done living. And so, Tammy, how did theta healing find you?
Yes. So I was adopted 5 days after birth. And actually, my trauma came from in the womb when my birth mother decided not, realized she was pregnant and didn't want to keep me. So when I go back, it goes all the way back to that. But I always had this deep wound inside of me. I was adopted at 5 days, but from birth until 5 days, I was put into a nursery, not held or touched by my birth mother. And that left a huge primal wound in me. My adoptive parents and family are fabulous and wonderful, but I always felt like I wasn't loved or wanted. And that replayed itself in my relationships, abusive relationships, destructive relationships, seeking outwardly to have people love me, people pleasing to earn my love and worth in the world. And then after divorce, I was like, looking for that. What can I clean out? I'm looking outwardly to heal myself inside. It's time for me to turn inside and heal this in me. And I always had that whisper. There's something more. You have something bigger to do. This isn't who you really are. But it was fleeting. And my pain was what was driving the show and repeating those patterns in my life. But after my divorce, I said, wait, I've really got to sit down and figure that out. And self-love was the first thing. And then shortly after, I found theta healing. And I had read books my whole life. I was a seeker my whole life trying to figure this out in those moments. But theta healing was the first thing that actually touched on my trauma and healed that for me. And I'm passionate now to teach it to everyone because we all can do this.
We all can do this. And that is such a touching, I mean, just story experience. I know so many people listening can relate to a time in their life or a time where you felt alone or a time somebody gave you up because they just couldn't love you the way you needed to be loved or whatever it may be. We all have these anchors of energy, some big, some small, some traumatic, some not. And I think having tools, techniques, and practitioners like yourself that can guide them safely through these experiences to let them go. I can only imagine the transformation you've seen on this. So, kind of take people through like maybe what it's like or what they can experience on the other side or something that they can say, maybe this is for me.
Yeah, for me, it was an immediate touching of that trauma that I couldn't really name or describe, but it was just this vast primal wound that actually felt touched and seen. My perspective was completely shifted in that moment, and also this great deepening in who I truly am, and it is not that trauma. So it was an immediate, real grounding and centering in myself. And then through the practice of theta healing, I've been able to harness my intuition so it's no longer fleeting. I can live in it every single day. I can anchor my decisions into it every single day. And it looks different for every person. So for me, my triggers went away. I found internal peace, like steady, lasting internal peace. Instead of being quickly reacting to situations, of that being in that victim role, I created this pause, this buffer, this separation where I could tap into myself. I could see what was happening, and then I could choose how I was going to respond versus just reacting like I had before. I've had people turn off their anxiety. I've had people heal their relationships. They really were contemplating leaving their partner, but when they did work on themselves, their partner started to change because they changed. My energy is different than what I was previously, so I'm attracting different things. I see the world in new ways. All these magical synchronicities happen all the time when you're open and seeing them. People come into your life in magical ways. So how we manifest our dreams is through this work of really clearing the path of our trauma, of our beliefs, anchoring into our true selves, and then allowing all the gifts that the world has to give us to come in.
I love this clearing. I love the idea of clearing it out, of having a methodical way to go in deep with somebody that's done it themselves. I mean, your story is so powerful, and the work and that you've had to do by yourself individually that really kind of came about, it sounds like after your divorce, but really went back your entire lifetime and maybe even beyond into some past lives is so powerful, because I think a lot of people think like these practices are voodoo, or that only people do them that look or feel like this. And I think seeing us and really talking about theta healing as a tool to let go of what's no longer serving you in a really healthy and effective way with practical steps that you're mentioning can really help a lot of people if they allow themselves to lean into these practices. So, I guess what are some of the hurdles you've seen people move through to say yes to themselves in this?
Well, we normalize who we are. So we create excuses like, oh, that's my personality. Even physical disorders can manifest through these emotional wounds. And so, oh, I'm just getting older, or I'm an introvert or an extrovert. And so, really questioning and breaking down those normalizations that we put on ourselves, because you're much bigger. You're here for much bigger things and that whisper that you have tells you that you are. Another hurdle for me is being with like-minded people and being in a community where you can lean in and do this in a safe space. So community is so important because this is a skill that we have to learn. And it's not just about learning it, it's actually doing it and being around people that can help you and support you and listen to you and help you to break free from the stories that we tell ourselves, because those stories are not true. They're just driven by these beliefs and these trapped traumas that we have in our system.
I love this. I love the practical steps. I love the real wisdom that you're sharing. And I love the fact that you brought up intuition. So I know your work is taking you more and more to helping people dust off and dive in and reconnect with their intuition. Do you want to talk a little bit about what's ahead for you?
Yeah, so I'm building a community so that we can take this idea of being in this safe container so that we can do these practices together every week. So there'll be meditations and recordings for you, guided from me, Q&A. I'm there to support you, coming together in these groups with people that we can practice together, share our experiences together, and then learning practical tips that we can actually do in the moment. So theta healing is one of those, but also bringing in mind, body, spirit of all the things that can help us.
I love this. I love community right now because I feel like so many people do feel alone. I was just talking to a friend this morning
Mhm.
and we're saying like there's so many people that have more to give. The friends and groups of people they surround themselves don't really align with what they know they need to be doing. And these online communities are such a safe space to get together with like-minded people that are really looking to raise their frequency, maybe dust off some gifts, align with an intuition that gives them permission, but also direction on where and how they should be moving through this planet as a human. So I'm looking forward to posting about that, Tammy. And I really just appreciate you sharing your story. I feel like stories are so powerful, but for me, when a story of heartache, oh, trauma, disconnect, fear come forward, and you map that with tools and techniques that have been around for sometimes years, sometimes decades, sometimes generations and beyond. There's such a powerful thing that can happen. And I think your journey is so powerful. And the fact that you're using your journey as a tool to help others is really remarkable. So thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Everything that we
Oh,
experience is just a teaching tool. They're all helpers for us. And if people are listening to this, then they're called to do great things. So go
mm,
forward.
I love that. They're called to do great things. And hopefully you'll subscribe, listen to many of the conversations we're having because these people are just like you and I. They just have used their opportunities, their situations, their heartaches, their fears in a way that has cultivated a path for them to find tools and techniques that have allowed them to emerge from the fire, emerge like that phoenix, and really use what has helped them to help you. So, Tammy, all your links are below, but is there anything specific people should look for when trying to reach out to you?
No, you can find me on all of those links and just know that you're loved, you're important. Like I always say that you are the most important person in your life. How is that showing up in your daily activities and your calendar? We got to put ourselves first so that we can then help others.
Oh, I love that. And Tammy's going to be joining me here in 2025 in Waterwood and Vermilion, Ohio. So keep a lookout for the events we're doing here. She's going to be here helping, serving, and connecting with people that are really looking to work with light workers and energy practitioners, healers to really expand the life they're living and connect with powerful sources that will allow them and enable them to move into why they are on the planet. So thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
I'm super grateful. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.